We brought this image of Holy Family, which is usually there. And since we're celebrating Holy Family, we brought it here so it reminds you, and you can also get to witness, that we do have a statue of the Holy Family. Because I've learned from different parishes, not many people go around and look at what images you have in the church until it's brought forth, and then you're like, oh, when did we buy that? You had it the whole time. It was just hidden in the corner. And before I also start my homily, so I can answer all your questions, so that you don't ask it after Mass, is the question that I was been bombarded when I came in today was, Father, that's a wonderful lei. What does it mean? And what is it? So in the Samoan culture, the chiefs or the talking chiefs wear this. And being the elder of the family, my family gave me this at my ordination. And although I am not a chief, but I am a priest. So as a talking chief, you speak on behalf of the family. So therefore, I stand speaking on behalf of God, and then at times speak on behalf of you. So I wore this on this Sunday of Holy Family in honor of my own family. And also the vestment is very Samoan as well, with the emblem that's here and then the one in the back. So I hope that answers your question so you don't ask after Mass. The first reading today from the book of Samuel, we hear this story of Hannah. And if you're very familiar with Scripture, a lot of the women, or there are some of the women in Scripture that they are barren. They cannot bear a child. And Hannah is one of them. If you remember, Elizabeth was the other one. And there are many other women. But the Scripture says that these women who cannot bear a child, they in return gain a lot from that. Elizabeth had John the Baptist, and John the Baptist became the greatest prophet. And Hannah was married to Elkanah, the husband, who has two wives. And one of Elkanah's wife bears sons, but Hannah cannot. But that was Hannah's desire. She always wanted a child. So she prayed and she begged and she prayed and she begged God to give her a child. So finally, God gave her a child. But what did Hannah do with this child? She took the child to the temple, gave it to the high priest, and left it there. Now imagine you as a mother who have waited so many years for a child, and finally you have one, and then you go and you give it away. But Hannah understood that what she has gained from God, she will have to give back to God. What is God is God. So Hannah received this very special gift from God, and then she in return gave it back. St. John Paul II calls this the law of the gift. That in this act of giving back to God, we then increase in our own being. What God gave us, we turn and back, gave it to God. We see that here in the Eucharist. We give God bread and wine, God blesses it, and then he gives it back to us. Because we are the one that deserves that grace, not God. And then in Jesus' story, we have Jesus at 12-year-old. They went to the temple, and Jesus stayed, and then Mary and Joseph went home and never realized that he wasn't with them. Kind of curious to know that Mary and Joseph never checked the caravan if he was there. And they searched for him for 3 days. And then reflecting on that gospel, I always wonder what would be that conversation be like. Would Mary be the one to blame the husband, as every wife would? It's your job to make sure the child was in the caravan. And then the husband looks, well, it's your job to make sure that he was in the caravan. And then I would imagine how that conversation with God would be like. Oh, Lord, you know the son you gave us on Christmas? We don't know where he's at. Can you give us another one? Or I don't know. Imagine the prayer of this Holy Family, or this Joseph and Mary would be to God the Father, who's the real father of Jesus. I'm sure there's stress and anxieties and so forth. But when they found Jesus, it's interesting what Jesus said. Well, why are you looking for me? I am my Father's house. I'm sure if this was a local family, Jesus would get lickings at the temple before they drag him home. But Mary understood that what Jesus was saying was not out of being rude to them or justifying that they failed on something. Jesus understood his mission. As a family of a father, mother, and child, you as a family have your mission. And your mission is given to you from God. And what is that mission as a family? Well, again, it's the law of the gift. As a family, you are to give each other to God. You are to present each other to God's temple and help bring each other back to God. Because it is God who placed each and every one of you in that family. So therefore, you do the law of the gift. You bring each other back to God. Because in doing that, by offering yourselves and each other to God, you will receive an increase in grace and an increase in blessing. And that's how you can become holy and be a holy family. Because all of us in your families, you can probably tell me, Father, I know how it is. I know what to do to be a successful family. I know what to do to be a functional family. I know what to do to be a peaceful family. But do we know what to do to be a holy family? Because all these things, it's okay. It is fine to be peaceful, to be functional, to be adjusted as a family. It's you know the dynamics within each other and each other's families. But the church is here to remind you, it's not just those things, we also have to be holy. And in order for us as a family to be holy, we have to go back to the one who is holy, God himself. Again, the law of the gift. By giving each other and one another to God, we will receive an increase in grace. It's the same thing if you apply it to yourself. When we give, the Lord blesses us. When we give our time, our talent, our treasures, the Lord will receive it fully. And we see that because it doesn't say all of it in the first reading, but if you continue the reading of Hannah, Hannah gave away her only son, which she named Samuel. And Samuel means name of God. But in giving Samuel away, Hannah received an increase. She later received 5 more kids. She gave away one to God for God's work, and then she received 5 more. My friends, may that be a meditation for us. And our prayer lives as we come to celebrate the Holy Family, we look into our families and how we can bring each other to God and how we can call each other to be holy. And that's the only way we can, by offering ourselves and offering each other back to the one who gave us each other. Because we do not choose our families. God has already planted each and every one of you in the particular family. So be grateful for that and then offer that back to God. And as I celebrate this Eucharist with you and for you, may you offer your prayers for your families, especially those who have died and who have gone before us. And as today also I remember my father who passed away many years ago, and my mother offered me to God, and therefore in an increase in that, I'm able to celebrate and multiply Eucharist for all of you. So pray for that maybe one of your sons, you can sacrifice and offer him to God for the sacrifice of the Eucharist, where it will become an increase in faith and love for God and his work.